Hello, guys, and welcome to the United Embassy podcast. It's the first episode ready for the 2022 season. I'm Harry, and even though his walls are blue, he does wear red, and it's Struan. Say hello, Struan.
Hello, Struan. How's it going?
Not too bad. Well, I guess this is like a Leeds preview. We are hours away from kickoff. I will be at work, so I can't even watch it. Well, I
I'm
can.
also actually out on the day, so
No, so brilliant. There we go. We've got some high quality
we'll get
sources.
phone
Yeah.
notifications.
But yeah, I am excited for the game. A return. I could have actually gone to the game. I got tickets, but I couldn't go because of work. Anyway, and
Got in.
I could have watched Sancho make his debut. Oh well, we're gonna cry. Right, I made a quick thing. I just dropped my phone. Basically, what do we think of the game? So predicted scoreline. We'll go through that. We'll go through predicted starting 11. Um, yeah, just basic stuff. So, how do you think the game's going to go, Struan?
I'm really nervous. I don't think you could have asked for a harder game at the opening day of the season. I know people will say, oh, you could have had a Man City or a Chelsea or something like that. But from a Man United point of view, Leeds is a terrible opening day fixture. It's at Old Trafford, which is good, but given recent seasons, our away form has actually been the better. So
Yeah.
possibly would have liked it at Ellen Road, but I'm excited for it. It should be a an end-to-end game. Again, I can't imagine United keep a clean sheet, even if Rafael Varane does appear in the starting 11. I expect Leeds to get at least a goal in this game, so we're going to have to outscore them. Preseason was it's difficult to describe preseason because obviously it's never a true reflection, but United looked good at times. The Everton game especially was a really good performance. The midfield looks strong with Matic and Van de Beek. Obviously, that won't be a regular occurrence given Matic's age. Can't imagine him. He was 10 years older than Donny Van de Beek. I can't imagine him being a midfield pivot that we'll see
Two
very
benches
often.
all
But
season.
yeah, it's not looking like that. I think McFred will be into this. I'm not actually that fussed by McFred, to be honest. I don't think I dislike them as much as the majority of the fan base do. But yeah, I'm excited, but I'm also pretty nervous at the same time because I feel we've got a fairly okay start to the season. It's sort of when Rashford comes back in October, that's the real crunch time. But our start is a bit nice. What about yourself?
Um, I'm feeling the game's going to be. Actually, my biggest point of concern in the game is their fitness levels. I mean, they're always going to be fit. Like, it's a Leeds team under Marco Bielsa. They're going to be jumping at the bit from any go. I've not been confident
Not
in our
many of them away as
preseason.
well.
Pardon?
I was just saying, not many of them away on international duty in the
Yeah,
summer as
yeah, that's
well.
true. Yeah, so literally, they've only we've had four preseason games. Is that right? In fact, we played.
I think, or the Preston one was cancelled
Preston one
because
was
of the
cancelled. Yeah,
COVID outbreak.
so there you go. I mean, I don't feel like the team's 100% fit when I watched us against Everton. I mean, we obviously won the game quite convincingly. Us against Brentford. I just something about the team doesn't feel um, brilliant. It doesn't feel like there's a natural a fitness there or a standard of fitness. So I'm a little bit worried we get ran off the park. That is the reason that even though you just mentioned McFred, I think we will play them, and I'm quite happy with it, just because they can run. It's not like Matic where he's going to drop deep, get tired after 50 minutes, and then we'll probably have to play 10 minutes where he's tired before he gets subbed off. Um, I feel like those two are going to have an energy level there. I also feel I wouldn't be surprised if Dan James plays this game. I really wouldn't. He naturally fits a Leeds game. I just think he's one of as of my opinion on Daniel James is that he's always a tool player. He'll never be a starting player to completely win games off his quality. I think he's a tool player and you can use him in certain situations. I think today is a situation where he will fit. Um, but yeah, I'm overall pretty confident, but I am having somewhat of a doubt as we get closer to the game. I'll be completely honest, just because of our track record. At home is not as good as away, and it does make me feel better that the fans are now back in Old Trafford. It's just a different. I'm really jealous and it's well, I'm really jealous of the atmosphere of like what I'm missing out on pretty much because it would have been amazing.
What a game as well, Leeds United at home. so many fans have been in the stadium for about 18
Yeah.
months. It's going to be amazing. But I think the Dan James point is spot on. We saw last season in the 6-2 victory, he was excellent. And obviously, he nearly went to Leeds as well. Of course, everybody knows that. But I think this is a really good game for him. And I think as well, McTominay, 2 goals in 3 minutes in that 6-2 game. This is a really, the game's just suited perfectly for him, to be honest, the energy that he brings into the midfield. And in a way, I almost wouldn't be surprised if he plays alongside someone like Matic, just to have McTominay able to go forward and just Matic can sit back a little bit, and then Fred will probably come on later on when Matic is tired by about the 40th minute, given how energetic Leeds are. But as I
Mm.
said before as well, the fact that Leeds do have international players in their team, but at the same time, not many of them went away. With United's point of view, so many players just aren't fully fit yet. As we said, Cavani only returned to Manchester at the end of this past week. Obviously, got an extended break. I'm absolutely okay with that. I've got no issues with that at all. Martial's come back from a knee injury. Sancho's come back from a holiday as well. So quite a few players who you'd probably see would be first team might not be up to the fitness levels, and that's why I think it's a shame for Jesse Lingard missing out on this game as well. I think
Yeah.
he's still in isolation. I think this he probably
He
could have
looked
played
quite
this game.
good
It
against
looks like he's
Tottenham.
going to start. Yeah, I'm really happy he's staying. To be honest, I know a lot of people said it's better for him to move on to get money, but I like Lingard. I'm really happy that he's going to be here.
Okay, so we're talking about players. We might as well do predicted 11. We haven't prepared this. This is the thing I'm just doing off the cuff. So I'm going to presume David De Gea is in goal. I think we can both agree on that.
Tom Heaton? No,
Tom
I think
Heaton.
Tom Heaton
I
had a
to be
good
fair, Tom
preseason.
Heaton, honestly think the thing is I'm now at the point where our goalkeeping division is that solid. I don't care unless it's Lee Grant, and I'm not cussing out Lee Grant, but he's basically a coach now. So I think if you put in Dean Henderson, Tom Heaton, or David De Gea, I'm pretty comfortable. I'm not feeling nervous at all. I
Yeah,
might rue those
three
words.
really good keepers.
I might rue those words when if De Gea makes a mistake or Tom Heaton turns out to be terrible because he's not played in a year. But anyway, defence wise, it's Luke Shaw. It is Luke Shaw.
Yeah,
It, there's no other answer.
only because Tellers is injured, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Um, Harry Maguire. Then the question is who partners him, but I think
I think it'll be
it'll be
Lindelof for this
Lindelof.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't even think Bai's back from the Olympics. Phil Jones is
oh,
obviously
he's not,
back in
is
the
he?
team as
Yeah,
well.
he's
I
not.
don't,
Yeah, he's not. He's not back from the Olympics at all.
yeah, Twanzebe's gone to Aston Villa. That's a really good loan for him. And we're still Varane's situation. I don't even know if he was registered in time fully.
We
So
don't know. We don't know.
it's
Varane has not been announced yet. He might have been announced by before this even gets out. Um,
hope so. But even if he is, I think Lindelof will play in this game. Just because, again, I think you want to see more of a tried and trusted centre back partnership, especially when I think it would be safe to say at the moment De Gea is the second choice goalkeeper based on the end of last season.
yeah,
I
I
think
would agree.
Henderson had sort of cemented being first choice. So without your first choice goalkeeper, you possibly want to be a bit more safe in defence rather than Varane's obviously not a risk because he's one of the best centre backs in world football. But throwing him into the team so early is a bit risky. But then again, we did that with Maguire 2 years ago against the 4-0 victory over Chelsea. So
Yeah.
it's it's tough. But
Um,
I do think that
yeah, I think
Lindelof will be the one to start.
Maguire, Lindelof. I think they're both composing the ball as well, which would be good against Leeds. Are going to be pressing high
Yeah.
anyway. Right back, Sarah Wan-Bissaka. So they're basically the usual. Just about four last season. Um,
Yeah, it's just the back four you'd expect, to be honest,
Nothing's
tried and
changed. If
trusted.
you think about it, we're still going in with the exact same first team that we had last year. I mean, we signed Sancho, we haven't got Varane through the door just yet, but neither of those players are going to start today. So it's pretty much just the same as last year. Um, but I think it will be McFred. I think maybe Fred's not in because of his return back from football being slightly delayed. But besides that, I just think maybe it'll be Matic just because he performed well. I would really, really be interested to see a Donny move at some point today. Like
Yeah.
I think he kind of suits the game, especially with his new physique. Like the guy's a monster
Yeah.
now. He's just put on
Stretching out the
pounds of
captain's armband. He's
kg.
captain's Man United.
Yeah, man, I rate it. But no, yeah, literally. I think it will be McFred. I don't know about you, but I think it potentially Fred out Matic in. I'd be surprised if Pogba plays as well. Actually, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
I think it will definitely be McFred. I just think the energy levels, as we discussed previously, I think as well, talking about the tried and tested back line, I think it'll be the same in the midfield.
Mm.
McFred worked previously in this sort of fixture, as we said, great game for McTominay to to go forward, to get forward and get goal involvements. But I just can't see Matic or Donny coming into this game, especially when I feel Matic and Donny played in the first half against Everton and they were absolutely excellent the way we sort of moved into that 3-1-6 when we had the ball. I feel Matic and Donny are going to be the pivot we use against low blocks. You know, when we come up against a Burnley or perhaps a Watford, another team who are just going to sit back. You know, I don't know what Crystal Palace will be like this season, but last season they were definitely a team I'd identify in that vein. I think that's
Yeah,
when Matic and Donny van de Beek will come in, and against a team who will still have a lot of the ball. And even though they're the away team, I still expect Leeds to have a decent amount of the ball. I know we could hit them on the counter attack is possibly what we want, but I think for a game like this, you need Fred and McTominay to be breaking up the play, and just the energy
yeah,
levels they bring are just excellent. To be honest, they can run for 120 minutes non-stop, and I feel as well in the Europa League final. Not to bring that up, we don't need to talk about it again after this point, but
yeah. Okay.
I thought McTominay was absolutely excellent in that game. To be honest,
He
and
was, he was, he was very good actually. Yeah.
I feel he could start well hopefully this season.
I think if we look at the front four, I was just briefly thinking of the front four. Do you think Cavani starts today?
Nah,
I don't think he
nah.
does.
I think he might still be in quarantine. You know, I think he only
He's
came
back
back
in.
two
Yeah, I
days
was gonna
ago.
say back in Manchester now, but
He's back in Manchester, but if you think about this game, we're potentially missing five or six first team
uh,
players. Not through any issues, but you know, obviously Rashford's got his surgery. We don't expect Varane to be there. Cavani's obviously quarantining. You could argue Dean Henderson's a first choice goalkeeper now at this point. Um, whatever do you want to say in the midfield potentially happening there, and then we don't know the situation with Sancho, but I Cavani's pressing is excellent and his fitness is ridiculous for a 34-year-old. He's one of the fittest players in the team. He's also one of our best defenders, which is ironic because of just how much he tracks back, how good he is defensively in our box.
just clear the
But at
ball.
the same time, I'm not sure a game like Leeds necessarily suits him,
I agree.
where
Yeah.
he's going to be tracking back a large amount. I'd quite like somebody like Martial. Martial in the 6-2 missed a lot of chances. That game could easily have been 7-8-9, honestly. Like I remember back there was a one-on-one that he blasted wide. So I think it's a game possibly suited for him or Mason Greenwood.
I think it will be Tony. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a front four now. If you actually think about it, so we've got Bruno in the hole,
Are you
and
sure
then
Bruno should start? Now that's a
I just think we're going to rely on him a lot today, just for creativity. Because if we are playing with Fred, he's pretty
yeah,
much going to be
you're
doing
instantly
ball
losing
to
a
get
crate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Regarding like players actually on the wings, who are our options? We've got Greenwood you can play on the right. We've got Daniel James, Sancho.
Yeah.
But I nearly forgot about Sancho. Then I'm not used. Not used to that yet.
We actually have him though. It happened. It happened.
Is it really? Oh, it got
Yeah.
announced after two
Well, I've got
minutes.
his name on this shirt,
Wow.
so I
Okay.
really hope it did. Otherwise, I'm going to be
Get a
sending this
refund.
back.
Who else? Yes, we've got Daniel James, Greenwood.
I think for my prediction, I've got Pogba on the left and Dan James on the right.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
That's
know.
how I think it's going to land. I'd play Pogba off the left mid this season. I just don't like him in the pivot as much. I
See,
just
I would.
feel well with Varane it might be a different case, but I just feel often he can give the ball away and he's not that strong defensively. Obviously, he's a world class player, but I feel to get the best out of Pogba, I want him on the left wing. I think last season when he played off the left hand side when he could link with Bruno and Cavani, the game against Roma, for example, they were just unbelievable. Just let the other people defend and let him do what he does. So
I think.
I
I
think I'd
think.
like to see Pogba off the left.
I think. I think honestly, if you were going to build a team of the current Manchester United players, I wouldn't put him in midfield. I wouldn't put him in midfield. But if we're one signing away, potentially two, from just having access to putting him in the midfield, and the amount of quality
Yeah.
that would bring, just to the game itself, is another level. Like he plays. I get it. We play him in a left wing, but I don't think he actually. I don't think when he plays there, he plays there. If you know what I mean, almost just drops into
Mm.
like a left centre mid role, like comes into the left side of midfield a bit deeper, collects the ball and just recycles it every time. If you watch any of his pretty much goal contributions to the back end of the season where he played it on the left, all he was doing when he started to move way towards our own halfway line. Then he was like he didn't play like a natural winger. He's not collecting the ball and cutting in or going
Yeah.
wide. He's not doing that. He's doing a role where he goes to the left and the pivot players up front almost pivoted around that. I think Martial really suits that, and this is the thing that really annoys me. I think Tony's a really good left winger. Um, in terms of his one-on-one ability, he's really good. He's probably
Can go
dropped off
past
a
anyone.
bit since like 18, 17, 18 was it? He just had like a mental season off the leg. Anyway, um, I think he's dropped off a
And then
little bit
Jose
since
signed
then.
Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah. So I just think his ability to do that is good, and I think that's the reason why if we play him and play Pogba, I think Martial's more than happy to sort of play this number 9 role, but drift over to the left when Pogba's out of position. That means we still create a width, a sense of width, and especially, I mean, Bruno can play secondary striker. We all bloody know that. He does it
Yeah.
anyway. So even like creating a system with Martial drifting out to the left, Bruno running it back in, and then we still have that front three, but we go from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3 essentially because Pogba's dropped back in. It could be a system potentially looking at. I think that's what we did a little bit. I think we tried doing it, but we retained two up front with the one striker and then the one secondary striker. Um, but I think that's what Ollie kind of tried, to be honest, when we first came in. And if you think back
Mm.
to those days, I mean, Jesse Lingard looked like he was mental because he was playing secondary striker for a lot of games, and he did it with Daniel James when he signed him a bit, and it was just because he wanted someone to run off the shoulder of a striker, and then the Pogba or whatever to have a bit of like freedom. And I think not necessarily this game, but for the season, throughout the course of the season, could be an interesting point against teams which are a bit defensively going to sit back, or if you want a bit of creativity and you're stuck for a player. I mean, Paul Pogba is not a bad answer, is it? You're going to be okay. Um,
It's quite good to call on him at times.
yeah,
Not a bad wee
he's
option to
not a bad
have.
option. Honestly, he's not. His contract alone with 1 year left is not £50 million. What are you on about? No,
It's
literally.
a
He's.
contract situation.
I think. Oh, his contract situation is depressing, but I don't. I don't want him to go. I really don't want him to go, and I see him staying this year and going on a free next year. I mean, if I
Yeah.
personally do not blame him. If you are now offered the opportunity to go on a free to PSG, earn £600,000 a week, and play with Lionel Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That is
No,
perfectly fine.
it's a tough one. I think as well the fact that at the moment there's only a handful of clubs who could actually afford
Yeah.
to sign him, especially if Real Madrid is his dream. Real Madrid aren't really spending that much this summer. Obviously, they want to sign Mbappe or a Holland who'll be mega money. So if Pogba goes on a free, there's a plethora of clubs he can join, and he basically can choose where he gets to go at that
I
point. I mean,
think
it
he
doesn't
should
look great for
quit.
Man United. I think Real Madrid would be an interesting one, to be honest. I think he'd instantly become the star of La Liga, or at least one of
He
them now
would.
that Messi, Ronaldo, Ramos, etc. have gone. He could be the main man in that team. But I think I think again, it's another question that we don't know his best position. I mean, we're debating it right now. Could it be off the left wing? Could it be off centre mid? We just if we had a holding midfielder, like a proper a
Yeah.
Fabinho, a Rodri,
Indeed, he would.
Jorginho, somebody who could just yeah, just somebody who could anchor the midfield, I think we could get Pogba and Bruno easily in there. And some, I know a lot of people want to play off sort of a 4-3-3 with them two as eights, and I think that could be a possibility. But at the same time, I think Matic is the only player in the team who can do that. But recently turning
Too old.
33, yeah, it's just too much to be honest. And at that time, I think I could easily see Pogba leaving.
Okay, so just to finish off, I predicted 11. Um, what do we see as wingers? So who do we see as winger? So we got two wingers, obviously left wing, right. Who do you choose?
I still think I still think James and Pogba.
I'm
I
gonna
think
go.
I think Pogba could potentially come off the bench and we maybe see
Mm,
Martial on the left, but I think James is so suited to this game
yeah,
and
I
he
think
might
James
be the
plays.
only natural winger. Yeah, I think James plays either off the left, possibly with Greenwood on the right, or James on the right and Pogba off the left.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say James and Greenwood, just to be different, because I almost
Hmm.
feel like there's almost like an urgency in me to get Greenwood playing. I don't want him sitting
Yeah.
around and like staying, well, not gaining fitness. If I can get him firing as quick as possible, and as much as it sounds stupid, he is somewhat of the weak link across the front three. If you play the full strength front three,
Yeah, definitely. He finished last season excellently as well, and I think a lot of people want him to move into that centre forward role if Rashford and Sancho, etc., are going to be our wingers for the future. I think a lot of people would like to
yeah,
see Greenwood move more centrally, but I think he needs to be playing as well. I'm a bit worried thinking that he may end up on the bench and he only gets, 20, 30 minutes coming off the bench and occasionally the League Cup games because he can do so much more. But
Yeah.
it'll be really interesting, and hopefully he starts the season. Oh yeah, he had quite a difficult start to last season, and quite a lot of people wrote him off. But then after the Liverpool game in the FA Cup, and towards the end of the season, he was just absolutely incredible. He was probably I would say our best player in the league
Yeah.
for the final 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, I'd
He was
agree.
just immense.
That was amazing. Going off that then, predicted scores. How are we feeling? So what are you gonna guess? I hope you don't say my one because I want to say.
I want to say, see, I'm thinking back to last season when Leeds were the opening game against Liverpool and it finished 4-3, and so often Leeds had just ridiculous scorelines. And I mentioned earlier, I think they'll score, so I'm gonna go with a 3-1 to United.
I'm gonna
I
say
think a
four
3-1
two.
would be a
Four
or
two.
4-2.
I think to United. I just think we won't win the game in the first half. I think we'll be losing the game by the end of the first half, actually. And then subs come on. I mean, Sancho coming on. Hopefully, gets a goal or assist. I think
Hopefully
it'll
a
be
game.
brilliant.
Well, if he comes on and he doesn't get either a goal or an assist, I fear what Twitter's probably gonna have a
Twitter is going to
meltdown
be
about how
a
bad a play. They're,
hell of a place if I have to open that up.
That'll be it though. One game or 30, 20 minutes off the bench and it'll
Oh,
be Sancho's
no.
already flopped, etc. etc. It's the same with Varane. If Man United
Yeah.
concede
If
one goal when Varane plays, he's going to be a terrible
if Iran
signing.
makes
So
a mistake like he did against Shakhtar, I'm not loading Twitter that week. Like the one where he just like passes
it's
back to
going
the
to be
keeper and then
difficult.
just puts the striker through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know what I love though? I love the compilations on Twitter of Varane's mistakes. And it's
four,
over a period of about
four.
10 years, and he's made like 4 or 5 in the video. And I'm thinking, if these are the worst mistakes he's ever made across his entire Real Madrid career, I'm really happy with that because our current centre halves make about those mistakes in half a season.
Yeah,
Or our previous centre backs as well, who we've had. I just, I love those sort of compilations that only highlight the mistakes. And some of them aren't even that bad, you know, the occasional miss pass or whatever. But
I
yeah, I
think.
think. In,
Sorry, I was just gonna say. I'm pretty sure Varane's tally of mistakes, errors leading to goal, is 5. 3 of them came last year. 2 against City, 1 against Shakhtar. Across a 10-year span. Just to back away you're saying, but yeah, go on.
think that's excellent. I mean, as well, a lot of people say Varane's possibly declining. I think the whole Real Madrid defense and team has been in
Yeah,
decline
that's true.
recently as well. To be honest, I don't think I'd highlight him, and even for the French team as well. I think the French defense has been a little bit shaky internationally as we saw in the tournaments. But one thing I will say about Leeds in the scoreline is I don't think I'll ever be comfortable until the final whistle goes. In the 6-2 victory, I was nervous at 6-2 up because Leeds can score one and instantly go after another one. I remember when they made it, or when the second half began, and I think it was 4-1 at that time, and they had a shot on target, and De Gea made a really good save, and then they had another one short after, and I'm thinking this could go so wrong. And what we saw last season as well is we crumbled defensively a few times. You know, if we
Mm.
conceded, we obviously we came back, we overturned so many defeats, but at the same time, we gave away such silly goals. You know, I think back to the Roma game where we had a really comfortable 6-2 lead as well, actually, from the first leg. And then Roma just scored. It was right after half time. They scored 2 chances. De Gea made so many good saves, but at
Yeah.
the same time, it was just nerve-wracking how the defense seemed to fall apart. So hopefully, Varane coming in can bring leadership to that and a bit more stability.
I think I honestly think it wasn't always amazing last season where we overturned like results. We were like 2-0 down and we win 3-2. It was really cool. It was good. We had like a high amount of goals to watch. It was entertaining as a fan point of view. But if you're thinking as a clinical manager, as a manager, clinically about your team, that is such a downfall. If you're having to rely on other teams scoring goals for you to react and score
For the
yourself,
team to wake up
yeah,
almost. Yeah.
it's almost
And I don't think this season will have the same
yeah,
fortunes. I don't think we'll make as many comebacks. I think we broke the record last
yeah,
season
we
for the
did,
amount
yeah.
of victories from losing positions. I think equally you could say with a stronger defense we won't fall behind as much, but it's the games I think back to like Fulham. The first time we played Fulham we went 1-0 down early and we won that game 2-1. The 1-1 against West Brom as well. We fell behind in that one. The defeat to Sheffield United, we
Oh my
always
god.
conceded early goals and we were never able to break teams down. And I think that's something that we really need to work on because it's really bad because the big teams punish you for that. The
My
big teams won't allow you to make a comeback.
yeah, my biggest thought now is we won't be able to do it because of the fans at the stadium. I mean, if you're Sheffield United, for example, and you have fans in the stadium, it's a completely different game to when it
Oh
was
yeah.
empty. I feel like when the stadiums were empty, home or away, it's a game of quality, and I think that's the reason why bigger teams just they were tending to like there was less upsets last season than pretty much any other season. I can't think of as many, and it was just because the fan support wasn't there. When you're a smaller team, you need to have fan support. If you think to like my local, I'm gonna say because I don't want to dox myself, but if you think to my local, we played was it Cardiff? I remember we played Cardiff, and we literally had like the fan noise there was crazy for what it was, and that was like the game was almost very close, even though we got completely out dominated. And when I think back to when I watched even like Manchester United versus Everton, 2013, if I think back to then, I literally went to that game and I was like, well, I think that was my second ever game, right? And the entire stadium was like pretty dull because we were drawing at a time. I think it ended 2-2. Um, and they had like a late equalizer, but literally the momentum changed, and I always remember this. So the momentum changed the moment their fans like just went off one. They started like screaming and shouting and everything, and supported the team, and they were literally flat. Everton were flat before that moment, and that is the reason I think when you give small teams fans, well, not necessarily small teams, but the underdog, quote unquote underdog fans, they always will perform 20% better, thirty
It's the
percent
12th
better.
man, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that
It's
is
the
going to
argument
be
of the crowd behind you.
massively understated how important that is now. It's the fans are returning to the stadium. I mean, it also benefit Manchester United players. Don't get me wrong. We're at Old Trafford. We are at home
Yeah.
this game,
Our,
but it means
our
I'm gonna
home
be quiet.
our home record last our home record last season was absolutely appalling. We need fans to be singing
Yeah,
songs. And have you already seen that? I think it was the QPR game was the first time they changed the Ollies at the wheel song. They changed Sanchez, Paul Pogba, and Fred to Sancho, Paul Pogba, and
oh,
Fred. So
I love it.
expect to hear that a bit more. But maybe we need to replace Paul Pogba in 12 months' time as well. But yeah, I think fans will be absolutely massive. We need scenes. I think back to when Cavani had that unbelievable lob against Fulham,
Oh,
and almost in that moment,
oh,
I thought, yeah, he's going to
yeah,
stay because you never got to see the fans. Neither did Donny van de Beek nor Alex Telles nor Ahmad. Plishti never really played that much last season, but none of these players who arrived to United got to see a 75,000 capacity Old Trafford. But this season they're going to get to. They're going to because you don't feel appreciated. I feel somebody like Donny van de Beek who is struggling. If the match going fans, he'll get so much praise.
yeah.
His name fits perfectly into Casey and the Sunshine Band. Baby, baby, give it up, and I really hope that that happens a lot. But I think. I think he needs to, and he will get the support that he's been lacking because you don't feel it. If you're losing, there's no fans in the stadium. You can only really hear your teammates and the managers at the sidelines. You have no idea. I wouldn't look at social media because any United player who
Yeah,
doesn't have a good game will be ridiculed on social media. So it's tough, but having fans and having the support, even when you're having a bad game, I think it'll be
definitely.
absolutely massive for these players.
Um, my biggest thought right now is almost. I just completely unrelated. I was just talking about Donny, but I was at the gym yesterday, right? And I was on the bike, and I was wanted something to watch while I was just going slow. So I put on all of United's goals for the entire 2021 season. I just watched that, and oh my god, all of Donny's assists are outrageous.
Ridiculous. See the best goals that we score in terms of like the
Crazy.
build-up plays where we complete 10,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
15 passes and it's attacking. And Donny is involved in just about
It's
every single
crazy.
one. Even
I
though he
think
doesn't get the final assist or the goal at the end of it, he's so involved.
And I think might be one of those players where if you go to the stadium and you watch him, you understand how much how pivotal it is when he builds up play. I mean, obviously you see it on
Such an
TV, but
intelligent footballer.
yeah, like you don't see positioning as well when you watch on TV. It's a different thing. But I think maybe he'll really benefit out of the return to fans of stadium, Old
I
Trafford.
think he's going to benefit from Sancho as well. The amount
Yeah,
of times when you watch Sancho's goal and assists in the Bundesliga, so often he'll go down, especially on the right hand side to the byline and cut it back in the box. And somebody like Marco Royce has been there to tap it in. The way Donny van de Beek arrives late in the box, I think he's going to benefit
yeah,
massively from that. And just the link up between the two, I think back to the dummy he played against Leicester in the FA Cup, where the ball gets played in, and he's got a really good shooting chance. And I think Pogba, I think Rashford, Bruno, Dan James, any of our forwards take that shot on themselves because it's a good opportunity. But Donny knows that Greenwood behind him has a better chance. Dummies it, Greenwood gets a really good goal, and you just think
Exactly. Yeah.
that's the football intelligence that Donny
He
has is
has got this
absolutely
like
excellent.
really good sort of like spatial awareness, doesn't he? He knows what's around him
Hmm.
constantly, and that is something that I have since like we signed Juan Mata. We've kind of missed that if I think about it. I mean, obviously we had Juan Mata for like a period of years where he was playing really well, but ever since like he started getting a bit older and he started playing less, I feel like we missed that a lot. We haven't had a player who's like, technically turned on all the time, and seeing
Yeah.
him play will be a genuine delight if you manage to get a run in the team because it'd be really good to watch that. Um, One of the things I will say, I'm really excited about Sancho. Is one of the things I'm most excited about. If I think back to Marcus when we played against Wolves, and Rashford scored a goal, but it was a deflected goal when he shot off his left foot and
Yeah,
it
right at the
deflected it.
end.
Um, if I watch that game and you think, okay, Rashford's goal was actually lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
Sancho is so required in moments like that because he's basically
Oh,
taking up the
100%.
opportunity himself. He had to take on three defenders just to even get the shot off, and once he did, it was deflected in and was lucky. So I mean, you can say look, you can say whatever, but what I say is the amount of opportunities that we have now where we can actually feed down the right, and it will
Yeah, we
be
have a right winger.
a creating a player, an actual right winger who can create opportunities, not just score them. I mean, we had a front three where it was Greenwood, Rashford, and Cavani, and all those players I would say are better scorers than creators. So not that they're bad at creating
Yeah,
Greenwood
they're,
and
they're all
Rashford,
like
but
strikers.
yeah,
That front three, Rashford originally was a striker through the academy. Greenwood, I think he still will be a striker, sort of centre forward in the academy. And we're basically just playing with three attackers. I feel, again, one of our issues is when we come up against a low block. Rashford's amazing, I think of the Newcastle game
yeah,
where he just produced a moment of magic, couple of nutmegs, finished really well in the bottom corner. Rashford doesn't really have that passing ability where he can just open up a defence with one ball. I don't think we have that many players in the team. I think Pogba, Bruno, I think I'd put Shaw in that category as well, to be
yeah.
honest, recently. But we didn't really have players who can open up a defence. And when you know that Bruno is the main man, he's going to open up. The opposition just need to stick two players on him. And instantly, it's what happened in the Europa League final. Villarreal just marked Bruno out of the game
Yeah, it's
and then
good.
we struggle to create anything. But now, if we've got Sancho, somebody needs to work on Sancho. If we've got Rashford on the left, that's a real goal threat with Shaw as well, the connection there. That's a goal threat. If we've got Cavani in the middle, you're going to have to stick someone on him. If you've got Bruno arriving late, someone on him. Donny or Pogba as well. The attacking options that we've now got
Mm.
against a low block, we really should be far more effective.
I'm much more hopeful after our chat than I was before.
I
I
am.
feel so
I
much
think.
confident.
I think I was thinking as well. This is a point I want to bring up on the show, but obviously we've signed three players this summer. Tom Heaton on a free. I think he'll probably be the second choice. I expect De Gea or Henderson to leave fairly soon.
Mm.
I think Tom Heaton is probably going to become second choice. I'm okay with that. But then the main two obviously are Sancho and Varane, two unbelievable signings. And I think the player who's going to benefit the most is Wan-Bissaka because he's now going to have Sancho in front of him and Varane to the left. He's going to have a world class centre back covering on his left hand side and he's going to have Sancho in front of him. And I think Wan-Bissaka is amazing. Obviously, defensively, he's great, and I think going forward, he has definitely improved. But having somebody like Sancho in front of him, I think it's going to be absolutely incredible because Sancho's going to occupy a left back and a left winger in the same way that someone like Jack Grealish did. You're going to have to stick two people on him because he can beat anyone. He'll get past whoever's on him. So that's going to give Wan-Bissaka a lot more freedom to overlap on the right hand side, the same way that Rashford can occupy two players and Luke Shaw can either come inside or overlap. I think just the whole right hand side of our attack has obviously been our weak point in the last 5 or 6 years, and being perfectly honest. But I think now the right hand side can be a really dangerous point for us. And again, against a low block, both channels are going to have so much talent and quality. I think Diogo Dalot could have a really good season as
Yeah.
well. He looked good for AC Milan. He got into the Portugal squad for the Euros. So I'm a lot more optimistic now when it comes to breaking down a low block.
One of the things I would say, I don't know why, I don't know what it is. I think it's actually the first preseason game against QPR, against Derby and then QPR. Um, if I think back to Aaron Bissaka's performances in those, I have this like really nervous feeling about Aaron Bissaka this season. I don't know. I think I've just believe in myself now that this man is going to be completely overtired by the end of the season. He
Yeah, he like if everybody spoke about Bruno and Rashford last season overplaying. Wan-Bissaka played the most
he played the most out
because
of
we
anyone.
just don't have another right back. It was ridiculous amount.
Like, I mean, at least Bruno got somewhat interchange with Donny, and Rashford got somewhat into, like, obviously not very, like, very rarely, but Alan Masaka had no substitute. There was literally Brandon Williams in very low tier games against Watford, Sutton United was it, um, and I actually think he played against Sutton United. I'm pretty confident he played it against Sutton United actually.
He came on the performance I remember was the in the Europa League where he and Alex Telles came on for Sean Wan-Bissaka
Yeah,
and Roma just came alive and they
yeah,
just looked so dangerous. And I think Brandon Williams really needs a loan. I feel sorry because I think he's a really good fullback. The 1920 season where he kind of played as the left wing back in the back five
mm.
and Shaw moved into centre back. I thought Brandon Williams was a real
I think he
player, but
was
he's
decent.
probably quite raw is the way I describe him. And I think as well Shaw is sort of becoming one of the best left backs in the Premier League. Wan-Bissaka, we know how talented he can be as well. It's a really high bar that they're coming in for, and I feel if he can get a loan, I think he's been linked with Norwich and Southampton, Brandon Williams. If he can get a loan of Premier League experience, he can play on either side as well for fullbacks. I think
I
he
think
could do something. But as we
yeah,
say, the drop off was too big, and I know people criticise Ollie for rotation, but is a rock in a hard place. You know, if he swaps Wan-Bissaka for Brandon Williams and Brandon Williams is bad, he shouldn't have taken Wan-Bissaka out. If he plays Wan-Bissaka, he's overplaying him. It was a really tough situation.
I definitely think Brandon does us alone. I mean, I was a really big fan of him when he first broke through into the squad. Cause, I mean, we all love seeing like how passionate he is, how much of like an effort
Yeah,
driven player he is.
he gets the club.
Yeah, he almost seems like the guy that if I knew him personally, I would let him do whatever he wants to do because he's a bit of a maniac. But I'd be like, just go do it. And I feel like when we had him in left back, no matter who we came up against, I was like, if you struggle, just kick him because that's what he'll do. That's literally what he would do. And I feel like I get it. It's not very nice, but he isn't. I think he's a lad who's tough, and I think if you sort of like nature that into a defensive skill and give him like let him like learn how to read situations, make proper tackles in dangerous situations, I think he could turn into a genuine, like, solid defensive fullback. I don't think he's that player that's ever going to bomb for us and make thousands of opportunities. He doesn't come across like that. He's not like Luke Shaw. He's going to come up and on the right and whip in balls that are going to assist. He might do that every so often, but I don't think he's the player to necessarily just make a million opportunities. And I think if we need him in a game, doing what we did before with the five back and Shaw at left centre back is not a bad option at all. And therefore, having Dallo back at the club might reduce Brandon Williams' game time. Um, but I think an opportunity to on a loan, and realistically, I would actually choose to have him at Brentford or some sort of clearly going to be fine for relegation club, because there's no like experience like that. I think it's the hardest lessons are going to be the most beneficial, and therefore I would probably loan him out to Brentford or Norwich or someone who looks a bit on the cuff. Just so they know, like even if he comes back from a relegated season, he gets coming back from a relegated season, gets 30 games. I'm more than happy than him going to someone who finishes 13th and getting 8 games. I'd rather him play 30 games a season at he won't, but like a relegated club, because that will be more beneficial for him by a long distance.
And the game time is the main thing for a player like Brandon Williams, and I think I'd go for Ethan Laird as well. You know,
Mm.
Brandon Williams used to be a right back, and then because of how good Ethan Laird is, Brandon Williams sort of moved over to the left back despite being right footed. So I think Ethan Laird's been heavily linked to Swansea, and I think that would be perfect. Obviously, he
I
was
think
with
he's
Russell
gone. He's
Martin at
gone.
MK Dons. I really hope that one happens because they play a three well under Russell Martin. He likes a three at the back. And I think Ethan Laird is capable of both sides as well. If he can do a real shift at right wing back, I think he could definitely come into the squad. We have technically four right backs at the moment: Wan-Bissaka, Dallo, Brandon Williams, and Laird. But Wan-Bissaka is the only one who's properly established. Who you think, yeah, you could play him against Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, any of the big teams. But then with the other three, you just wouldn't feel as comfortable in a big game scenario if Wan-Bissaka does pick up some kind of injury or if he gets a red card and he's
Mm.
suspended. Just in general. So it's. it's a really interesting situation to see how that pans out because obviously Kieran Trippier was linked with Man United the entire summer, but Atletico Madrid wanted 30 million for him, just far too much for a 31-year-old right back who wouldn't even be a guaranteed starter.
Yeah, I think uh, when it comes to Dallo, I think he will get opportunities this season, and he really needs to take them. He's
Yeah, fully.
one of those players that I feel like we should play against lower standard of players, team, sorry, that are going to sit back and at least give him an opportunity again in those games. I don't trust him in a game against a team which is going to run the ball at us. If, for example, we play Crystal Palace and we had Zaha going against Dalot, I would not play him at all.
No, I'd be
I'd
worried.
assess the
Any
situation
any
for
of
each.
these like left wingers like Son, Jack
Yeah,
Grealish now at Man City, Raheem
that is.
Sterling, Werner Pulisic for Chelsea, I'd fear for Dallo in those situations. Wan-Bissaka I'd be absolutely
Yeah,
hunky dory with.
yeah. I just think Dallo is defensively raw. He's got a good work ethic. He's good at his final ball, not so great, but his ability to actually get up the pitch with the ball is pretty good. I just think he's he needs to be nurtured a little bit in the defensive role, and that's what I a little bit feared about when in AC Milan. I thought Milan is a good opportunity for him to get loan time, but is it improving the right things? Is it doing what I think he should be learning? And I think one of the main complaints from AC Milan fans was that sometimes he gets defensively exposed. I think they had a game against who was it? Was it Cagliari? I can't remember. But they had a game. It was a thing I saw on Twitter at the time, and they had a game, and I think it was against Cagliari, but I can't remember. But he basically got defensively exposed many times, and it wasn't because his tackling was bad. It was just because he was out of position a lot. He always went forward and never really returned as fast as he could, and that was a big complaint from them. Speaking of which, Swansea and AC Milan are more. Just got it. So yeah, like I think Dalot's just he's gonna be one of those players that I see. I think he'll get like 10 games this season, and I'm really curious to see how it go. I think there's a lot of gambles this season. Actually, the more I think about it, there's a lot of these players that
Quite a few make or break seasons
yeah.
for a few players in there.
Tony Martial's got a break season. Talking about him.
Yeah, yeah, he was the one who I thought of as well. I think him and Dallo off the top of my head are probably the two I would identify who'd probably get the most game time. I think would be a bit of a make or break season. Some people would say it'd be like Ollie's make or break season, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one.
I think
But yeah, I think Dallo as well at AC Milan. You played left back a few times when Theo Hernandez was either left wing back or out of the team, so he got a bit of that versatility there. And I think he was available for every single league match for AC Milan last season, which is a good indicator purely of just
yeah,
making himself fit, making himself available and ready. So somebody you can rely on. He might not always do it on the pitch, but he's always going to be there
yeah,
to be
that
on the
makes sense.
pitch, if that makes sense.
I think the make or break seasons Manchester United related, but not at Manchester United. Axel Tuanzebe.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think definitely. I think when you look at the team, we've now got four centre halves who are better than him in Lindelof, by Varane, Maguire. I think Tuanzebe has absolutely everything. I think his passing is incredible for a defender. He's good in the air. He reads the game well. He's got so much pace for a centre half. We saw that in the PSG game. That was probably one of the best centre back performances
yeah,
of
I
last
love that.
season
I
in
love that.
general. He was absolutely immense. He does still have a few errors. Obviously, injuries are probably what's been the biggest issue for him so far. But if he can have a good season at Aston Villa, I thought he was going to go to Newcastle, but I'm happy with Villa. Obviously, Villa are going to be doing really well. You know, if he can build some kind of partnership to make it a team, if he has a good season there, there's a possibility for him there. But at the moment, I just don't see him getting into the Manchester United team. I really like him. He's captained the team as well. He's a leader. He's vocal on the pitch. I just can't see him making a move. And I think from his point of view, he's good enough to play in the Premier League. He's good enough to be starting. And I wouldn't be surprised if the move to Villa or another team
It's
perhaps
permanent.
becomes permanent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
really do. Because as I said, Lindelof and Bayer 27, Maguire and Varane are 28. They've all got 5 or 6 years left, at least being in good quality. And by that time, Twansebe's 29 himself. You know, he can't really just be sitting on the bench at Manchester United, given how good he can be.
I think at least from an actual point of view, he's got this opportunity now to kind of prove himself in the Premier League, and if he does so, I wouldn't blame him for leaving because he's fifth choice, and it's not like I mean, you might be on the move, but it doesn't look like any of these players are necessarily chomping at the bit to leave. He's not going to have an opportunity where in the next year, I'd really say, to get some game time, year and a half, 2 years. I wouldn't say is a clear and obvious route. Say by these days, we have four centre backs that I would say United are happy with quality and depth there. And I don't think unless it's a league like a League Cup game, he plays, and he's definitely a player which
I mean,
deserves to get minutes.
there's two centre back positions, but really there's only one because
Yeah,
Harry Maguire, providing he doesn't pick up an injury, is going to play 60 games a season. So really, Twanzebe's competing against Varane, Lindelof, and Baye for one spot, which
it's
is just really
quite
difficult.
tough.
Because he could be better than Lindelof and Baye, I reckon,
I
depending on
reckon
how
he
he
could, yeah.
develops. He's shown that he could be. As I said, he's kind of got everything you need from a centre back at such a young age. Still only 23, but at the same time, at the moment, I just don't see a route where he can get into the team. He was playing right back last season
Yeah.
and holding midfield. He just wasn't getting in
I'll
his
try
natural
him out in
position.
midfield. He's a good little ball player.
You know, we might as well.
Yeah, I was saying that about Lindelof. Um,
Again, we might as well.
what do you call it? I was gonna. I think I almost see him still as when he came through. When he came through the academy and he started making appearances, and I really liked him because of his effort. But it doesn't feel like he's changed much. It doesn't feel like he's grown since he's really sort of like came into the team, and that is a little bit of a concern for me. That Villa loan, who's really good, originally the first Villa loan now, and I think he was really good and he developed a lot during that time. But he returned and he barely played, and therefore we've not been shown that much. I mean, obviously the PSG performance was incredible, but it's a very specialised game, wasn't it? It pretty much suited him to a T.
As a back three as well for us, which
Yeah,
possibly helped in
helped him a
that
lot.
sense. And I think there was a few mistakes he's made as well. I think the Leicester game that was 2-2, he possibly should have done better defensively. The Everton game that finished 3-3, he sort of gave away a free kick on the halfway line that Everton then ended up scoring from. So again, though, it's these sort of mistakes, but at such a high level, one or two mistakes in a season can really be the difference in whether or not you start. And as we mentioned previously as well, his injuries are just they've just not been great, and it's really been hard for him to gain any kind of momentum. I think back to when Ollie had his first summer transfer window. Tuanzebe had the loan at Villa. They'd got promoted into the Premier League. He'd signed a new contract with United, and it looked like he was gonna play a lot, and it looked like he was going to be Maguire's partner. He's
Yeah.
probably the most suited
It's like
to
him or
cover for
Baye, yeah.
Maguire's weaknesses. Yeah, but both of them just have too many injury issues. I remember Twanzebe played in the Newcastle 1-0 defeat with the solid Longstaff goal, and he was with Dallo on that side, and just defensively, we just weren't there.
Yeah, I think he's that player. I remember doing that stats collection for him, and I looked at it, and his stats are really specialised. I'll probably, if I can, I'll put them up on screen. But his stats are specialised in the fact that he's got like this insane amount of presses for a centre back. Like he's really high, like amount of presses per 90. So he's pressuring a lot of attackers before they even try and get a shot off, or before they as soon as they collect the ball. But in terms of his defensive positioning, his interceptions, his blocks, his cutouts from attacking passes, like cut through passes, are all really really low, and that says a lot about his play style. And does that suit Manchester United? No. Does that suit a player in a team who's gonna be without the ball a lot? Yes. And it almost feels like right player, wrong club. I really like Axel, but I feel like it won't work for that reason unless he changes his play style and he develops from this Aston Villa loom, who might have a bit more of the ball this season. I feel like if he's modelled into that player who's gonna just try and get possession back at a first instance, United ain't no club for you, and that is annoying because I really like him, but that is also my harsh reality of the fact that that might just be the case. And United
Yeah,
have to look at that.
yeah, it'll definitely be a make or break season for him at Aston Villa.
I'm just thinking. I mean, Phil Jones is Phil Jones is pretty much done. Like, give
It's
me
just gonna
number
stay at
four,
United.
Phil. Give it.
Varane 19. That's what we want to see. What centre back number 19 is.
Why? I mean, we're sentimental FC. What we are. We're joking. We're not.
I don't know. I don't know.
No. But I mean, like,
Phil Jones is
look what
just
he
going to
did.
be the fourth,
Look what he did at
fifth.
Sergio Romero. Look what he did. The poor man just moved, got a new club, but he had to stay on a contract for a year. Poor man.
Yeah, true. Phil Jones might play holding midfield. He played there under Fergie and Moyes.
Oh God.
Could be the answer.
He'd be on
He's younger than
corners.
Neymar. Give him a chance. Oh, no.
He'll be a
No.
cornerman by the end of the week. God, no, honestly, I kind of wish he goes alone goes and goes on a free to Burnley and just turns out to be a decent centre back because I like Phil. I do
I think
like
he'd do
him.
well for Burnley, you know.
Yeah, I do like
I
him.
think he'd do
He's a
well.
likable guy. He's just
Yeah, I don't. It's you can't really like complain about Phil Jones. Like he's not done anything wrong. The club gave him this long contract. You know, he's suffered really badly with injuries. He's looked really good at times, but you know, it's difficult and it's hard to find a suitor because we're paying him so much money that no other club is really going to offer that. And given he's been out for about 18 months with an injury, other clubs looking at him are going to be thinking, "Oh, do we really want to spend this kind of money on you if you can't guarantee us enough game time?" And at the end of the day, fifth choice centre back at Manchester United, it's not the worst position. And again, for a fifth choice centre back, I'm not that fussed with Phil Jones.
I think it's funny because he's that guy that I could trust him, like to put 100% in, but I don't trust him on the ball. Like if I think back to that Chelsea FA Cup game where Hazard basically span him around 5 times. That was honestly because he had like a 5 or 6 game run before that. It
Yeah.
was under Mourinho, wasn't it? We had a 5 or 6 game run, and he was pretty good. And I was like, yeah, he's getting some form back. I was like, let's go, Phil. And then he just had that game against Chelsea,
Like
and
the
then
one
Hazard
Fergie ball.
absolutely battered him. And I was like, oh god, oh god. And that was the end of it. I felt like that was the end of it because he regained trust to some United fans, not all, but United fans are going, yeah, maybe not too bad. Maybe we can have him as a backup centre back. No, man's career was ended on that day, and
That it was done. I
yeah,
think as well it was ended in the Burnley defeat,
oh
the
god,
2-0.
yeah, he
I
was
think that was
shocking.
his last game actually before he got injured. I think that was
I
just
don't think
time
he's
up in that. I
injured.
just don't think he works with him.
I don't think he's injured. I think he's had a break from football.
No.
Something doesn't seem right. He's been his injuries are usually long. Let's get that straight. Injuries are usually long, but 175 days for a knee injury is a bit mad. I feel like it's almost a mental health thing, and I do feel bad for him because he does get ridiculed, but it's because how funny he is, like his character is. Like he tries 100%, and obviously his face is a meme, and
Yeah,
he dies
that's
in
the thing. Like
football. But I love it.
the jokes that are made about him, like most of the time, you know, there's the gif of him going down to the floor and heading the ball on the
Mm.
ground. But most of the time, it's effective. It just looks a bit funny.
Yeah, it does look
Like
funny, but I
he's not
like it.
actually
Yeah.
a bad player. Like if you just look on social media, you'd probably think he's one of the worst centre halves the world's ever seen. But if you watch him for 90 minutes, he's generally not that bad a player. He's just had really bad injuries. He's not it's not great. He's not world class or top class, but he's a decent centre half.
Okay. Quick question before the last question before we end it. Uh,
Yeah,
2 youth players that you think are actually going to get through the season. Go.
I think Anthony Elanga
Yep.
is going to
I agree.
get game time, especially with Rashford being injured initially. I don't think he's going to get a loan. And the other one who I don't know if Shoretire still counts because obviously he sort of came through last season.
I would
But I'll
say
go for
so.
Hannibal Mabry. I'm going to go for Hannibal because I think last season he would have come into the team had he not been injured. And I think he just is a really good player. I
Really
could
good
honestly
preseason.
see him breaking into the first. Yep. I think he could have a similar effect to Greenwood in that he comes into the team around that sort of 17, 18, 19-year-old stage. He doesn't need to go out on loan because he's that good and he could eventually just find a way into that team.
I think.
Yourself?
So I've asked the question, but I don't even know the answer. I would have said Facundo Pellistri if he hadn't gone on loan, but obviously he's gone on loan.
Yeah, he looked really good in
He looks
pre-season.
sharp. I'm gonna say. Who did you say again? You said
I
Alanga.
said
I'll say
Alanga
Alanga
and
100%.
Hannibal.
Alanga 100%. He will get some game time, especially with the preseason he had. He's actually done well when he played at United in the first team towards the end of last season.
Yeah, he finished last season really well. Really good goal against Wolves.
And my second player, I'm gonna say Ethan Galbraith.
I think he might be going to Doncaster on loan.
If he doesn't get his loan deal,
I like Galbraith though. I think he is a really good
if he doesn't
midfielder.
get his loan deal, he's one of those players that I think sneak him on in some sort of like League Cup game, get him some minutes, and hopefully snowballs. Because he's almost that player that you saw it in the preseason games. He didn't play midfield; he played right back, and
Hmm.
that is somewhat of a good indicator. It's either you can see it as two ways. You can see it as the way that okay, they're just shoehorning them in, or you can see it as in a way that he has been trusted almost. It's just be like, yeah, you're the guy that I'm going to trust in the initial first place to put out of position. Is that you could do it with a plethora of players, but you're the guy that I'm choosing specifically to put you there because I trust you to do the role there out of any of the kids there. So that's a good. If anything, it's a good thing. You could almost say it's a good thing.
It's a really good booster.
Yeah.
His
So
his passing is excellent as well.
yeah, I'd say if you want a pivot player, or who's just gonna try and get something, maybe he gets game time. If you want a trusted right back, if you want a trusted, if you want someone to do a job, Ethan Galbraith is where I'd say just put your nod towards him. Ole put some minutes in the guy. He deserves it. All the youth kids do actually, and I'm really excited about our academy. I love our academy at the minute. It almost feels like I'm in 2015 and I'm watching Tyler Blackett get his debut. I
Oh,
really
it's amazing. The academy is just looking so good right now. And the good thing is we have a manager like Ollie who's going to give these players minutes, who's going to give them a chance to shine, who's going to give them
yeah.
game time. He knows when the right time to bring them in,
I
etc.
want
As
a
you know,
few
we could possibly see
easy.
somebody like Charlie McNeil or Joe Hugel,
Oh God.
two really really good
Oh,
strikers.
Charlie McNeil.
Possibly see them feature.
Charlie McNeil, please get
What
some
player he
minutes
is!
on.
What
Please.
player he is!
It's class. I really want like a really like an easy draw. So I'll draw look with last season. Don't talk to me about that. I
Oh,
want karma. I want karma. I want easy draws until the semi final.
we got beaten in every trophy apart from the Champions League by the eventual winners of the trophy last
That's
season.
actually true.
We just had horrible. We drew Liverpool in like the second round of the FA Cup for us after Watford. Absolutely unbelievable.
Was
In the
Watford our first
Europa
game?
League,
It was.
Sociedad, AC Milan, who were both top of their leagues at the
Yeah.
time. It's the Champions League group was Leipzig and PSG. It was. I know Ollie got a lot of criticism last year for the domestic competition, so the cups and the international trophies,
We did
but
well. We did well.
goodness, we had tough draws. My goodness.
I honestly thought
So
like
yeah,
there's so many opportunities to like slip up on. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. There's so many opportunities to slip up on, and if you think back to Sevilla last season where we slipped up on that, they are easy banana skins. They are opportunities where you can fail and to almost get to the final. And obviously we didn't win the thing. Um,
one penalty.
don't man. We lost it. Ultimately, we lost it to a David De Gea shot on goal.
Yeah, like I really do.
That is the
I don't
margin.
like the fact that like all everyone's saying Solskjaer got it wrong and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it was 10-11 on penalties
Yeah.
or 11-10 on penalties. De Gea missed a penalty. I don't expect my goalkeeper to score a penalty. I'm being brutally
Yeah,
honest. I
yeah.
expect my goalkeeper to save 1 out of 11 penalties. Like I think a lot of people criticize De Gea for
Yeah.
missing the penalty.
No,
I'd criticize him for not at least saving one.
yeah.
If you're facing 11 penalties and you don't save any of them,
That was the major
come on.
criticism from me. That the only thing that game would have meant was you should have not played De Gea. You should have subbed off De Gea when it
Yeah.
came
Like
to that.
if our team scored 10 penalties in a shootout, they deserve
I
to
mean,
win.
if you look at Kepa
Do you know
last
what I mean?
night, Kepa came on and
Yep.
just he saved some penalties, and that's
Saved
almost like kind of like
saved a couple of penalties.
I'm sitting there going, why didn't we do that?
I
But
don't
yeah,
know. It's yeah, it is what it is. We'll just win the Champions League this year to make up for it.
yeah. Hopefully we have a really good run in the Champions League. I can't wait to watch some Champions League football. I'm so excited. I haven't seen us play Champions League football since bloody getting knocked out by RB Leipzig. I actually have that kit.
What's lovely
God.
is we're in pot two, so we're in the same pot as
Oh,
Barca,
and
Real
and
Madrid,
PSG.
and most importantly
Oh, thank
PSG, and we
God.
can't draw City or Chelsea because of being English, who will be the top
Hopefully
two.
that results in a good
Liverpool are
draw.
also pot two, so Bayern Munich and
We're getting
Juventus,
Bayern.
sorry, Juventus are also pot two.
We're getting Bayern. We are getting Bayern.
Yeah, so
We're getting Bayern.
we are getting Bayern because the top seeded teams we could draw, I think, off the top of my head, are Lille, Inter Milan, who are already a shadow of their former selves,
It's been capitulated.
Bayern Munich, who I just mentioned there, Atletico Madrid. That's a tough one. I wouldn't really like to face
I wouldn't
Atletico
mind
Madrid,
Atletico. I think it's been
and I
interesting.
think whoever won the Portuguese league, Sporting Lisbon. Those are
I'm
the
not sure.
five teams we can draw. Yeah, it was Sporting who won that. So Bayern Munich and Atletico are horrible. Inter, Lille, and Sporting would be nice. And obviously we can't draw Man City or Chelsea or I think I'm missing a team actually. Um, Villarreal are
Yeah,
pot one
yeah.
for winning the Europa League, so we could draw them as well. So the pot one teams
I want
are
revenge.
overall weaker
I
than the
want
pot two
revenge.
teams.
I want revenge.
So yep, give it. Why not?
I
We
want
could.
revenge.
I reckon we'd beat Villarreal over two games in a group stage.
Oh yeah.
At the end of
Oh
the day, it
yeah.
went to penalties.
We should win.
But but yeah, I've rambled enough about the Champions League and why we're definitely going to draw Bayern Munich or Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, 100%. We're gonna win. We're gonna have the groups. It's gonna be Bayern, Manchester United. Pot three will be like Shakhtar.
Ajax or
Uh,
Atalanta
yeah,
probably.
probably yeah. So we get Ajax and
I,
then we get Shakhtar Donetsk.
I think AC Milan might be pot four as well now because of
Oh,
they've not been in for a while. So we'll probably get
lovely,
them.
lovely. Right. Anyway, we'll probably wrap this up. It's been an hour. It's been an hour long recording.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good chat. Anyway, that was the first episode. Welcome. We'll probably have a second episode up for the preview. We might do a transfer review. We'll see how plans go. But that's the first episode of the United Embassy. That's been Harry. Struan, say goodbye.
And it's been goodbye. Good luck at the weekend, Man United.
Please, please don't lose. My life is on the edge. Bye.